Disabilities and special needs go beyond what most of us can imagine. Having to quit work to care for a loved one is just one of the sacrifices some families are forced to make.
There are millions of tax dollars allotted to help care for the most vulnerable, but resources are limited. News 4's Angela Rodriguez is joining us now with a glimpse of what these families go through. Angela?
They're known as the forgotten families, families that aren't invited to birthday parties or cookouts because they have a child with special needs who isn't easy to control. For these families, every day is a struggle, and the world they live in doesn't always attract the help they need.
I miss your smile, I miss talking to you, I miss brushing your hair, I miss you making me laugh so much. It's just not the same.
The memories are still fresh on the ground of this heartbreak.
I just miss you so much, Ryan. I'm so sorry this had to happen.
Shelley Hodge lost her son Ryan in February. He just turned 16, but autism had him trapped in the mind of a 6-year-old. His family thought he was on a pathway to help, but on the way to a hospital in Columbia, Ryan broke out of restraints and jumped out of a moving ambulance. He died almost instantly.
I didn't want him to go away permanently. I want to have him with me, but I need somebody to help him, to help me care for him, because our lives were in danger, and I knew that his was in danger.
Months later, Shelley Hodge is still fighting the system she counted on.
This is what I did not want to happen. This is what I cried out to prevent, and sent so many emails and so many phone calls to prevent. And now I'm at a graveside of a 16-year-old.
Ryan Emery was released from William S. Hall Psychiatric Institute in Columbia on February 6th, against his mother's wishes. On the discharge papers, she spelled out her fears.
I told him that, and they didn't believe me.
22 days later, Ryan was dead. He died while being taken back to the same hospital in Columbia, a building forever branded an asylum. There wasn't a place for Ryan Emery that weekend in Greenville. Carolina Behavioral Center was full. Marshall Pickens wouldn't admit Ryan. Officials there said they couldn't help him because he needed long-term therapy. Ryan's regular psychiatrist agreed, but Ryan's mother couldn't get the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs to sign off on around-the-clock care.
Ryan did not meet the critical list. Constantly that was said to me, constantly. Ryan did not meet the critical list. He was not able to qualify for the services that it's out there. And I know there's services out there. Or they would say the budget's cuts. We don't have the money.
At DDSN headquarters in Columbia, budget cuts hit you at the door. Even the receptionist was let go. A life was lost, but officials insist the system did not fail.
Please remember, the information that we had was that it was safe for him to go home. That was the information that we had from the mental health specialist.
The Department of Mental Health operates the Hall Institute. The decision to release Ryan Emery was not made by DDSN. A behavior plan was put into place, but Ryan died waiting for an appointment. He drew this picture to describe how he was feeling just days before his death.
He said, I feel broken. His little arms are not attached, and his legs, and he don't have eyes.
To meet the state's critical needs criteria, a person must be recently abused or neglected, homeless, seriously injured themselves or others, or be judicially admitted. Ryan's mother kept a journal of his uncontrollable rages.
He ended up assaulting a little boy at school.
DDSN said the violence was sporadic and therefore didn't meet critical needs criteria.
I would like it so that we didn't have to have the guidelines, that there were enough resources, that we didn't have to constantly try to pick between the lesser of two evils. But I don't have a magic wand and I don't have a printing press.
Ryan's mother wants his death to speak for the 31,000 other South Carolina families that count on DDSN for help.
I know that our country's in a recession, but the people with special needs, the kids, and their needs are not in a recession. Brandon!
Then there's Cindy Childers, whose journey as a mother has crossed its own ground of sorrows and of joy.
He's the toughest job I've ever had, but I love him. I love him very much.
Her son Brandon invited us into his world.
Look at baby.
Brandon is hearing impaired, but lives out loud.
He's looking for deer track. He is my heart, and he's special needs, and he has a lot of issues. He is bilateral profound. He's optional defiance personality, compulsive disorder, impulsive disorder, ADHD, X to Y chromosome,
mentally challenged, and he's a handful.
Cindy's been fighting for what's best for Brandon for 17 years.
I had a really hard time trying to get him into the school for the deaf and blind. I had to call the governor's office.
Brandon prefers the view from above. Up here, his disabilities don't exist. In the woods, he's not an outcast, and he's certainly not alone. Violent behavior is also an issue.
Punched a hole in the wall here.
Brandon's been arrested several times.
He's not a criminal. He just has special needs, and he functions on a low level.
Brandon is a DDSN client who could get in-home respite care, but his mother can't find anyone willing to watch him for $7.50 an hour. That's all the state will pay.
Brandon! Please come up here with Mama.
In-home respite care providers have only basic first aid training, and Brandon doesn't always listen.
I'm sorry, but this is what I go through a lot of times. He's just being Brandon. God gave me a job to do, and when it's all said and done, I want to know I done my best. I want to know I tried very hard. I'm sorry.
Cindy had to quit working because she can't leave Brandon alone. She's always one step behind him. It's nonstop.
When he goes to bed at night, I try to stay up and clean house and wash clothes and do dishes.
Cindy is exhausted and doesn't know what else to do. Brandon is one of the few DDSN clients who qualified for around-the-clock care. Only 185 qualified for it last year out of 31,000.
You might know, but you...
But Cindy wouldn't leave Brandon in a strange place on the other side of the state with no one full-time who knew sign language.
I'm not giving my child up. I'm not going to do it. I love him. And I think that's unfair that people are pushed into that option to get help.
Cindy just wants what's best for her son, and she's running out of options. Ryan Emery didn't ask for autism. He was born with it. And he died asking for help.
I see your windmill. It always blows whenever Mommy comes, and it's like you're telling me that, I hear you, Mommy, I hear you.
I have hope that before I die, that I'll see changes made, provisions made in Ryan's name, Ryan's honor.
Ryan's suffering is over, but his family believes his death should have been prevented. Instead, a single piece of ground symbolizes his life, a mother's memories, and the quiet suffering of so many more. Ryan Emery's mother is planning to sue. Since his death, the Greenville Hospital System has changed some of its policies for transporting adult psychiatric patients. Here's part of a statement from the hospital. Enhancements to procedures include requiring that a second worker be present in the patient compartment and that extra restraint use may be considered. As for Brandon's case, DDSN is in the process of recruiting someone to provide respite care. DDSN hopes this story will inspire people to apply for respite care positions.